What if every story you've ever heard about people being hidden by ghosts was true? What if the reason they disappeared wasn't because they got lost, but because something inside the bamboo grove didn't want to let them leave? For generations, people have whispered the same terrifying stories. Someone wanders near a bamboo grove and suddenly vanishes. Hours later, they're found confused, covered in mud, eating dirt, or talking about strange houses that no one else can see. And somehow, every story begins in the same place, a bamboo grove. Tonight, you're about to hear several terrifying encounters connected to those mysterious groves. Some involve wandering spirits, some involve cursed places, and one of them involves a female demon who refused to leave the world of the living. If you're listening alone, you might want to check what's standing outside your window before the story begins. You remember your grandfather telling you this story. Back in 1980, he planted a bamboo grove near the family's land. For the first few years, nothing unusual happened. But by 1983, as the bamboo grew taller and thicker, strange things began to occur. Every stalk in the grove started leaking a black liquid from inside its hollow trunk. The liquid smelled horrible. According to your grandfather, the odor was worse than rotten garbage. It smelled like a decaying corpse. Even stranger, around 11 or 12 o'clock every day, the bamboo stalks would rub against each other, producing strange creaking sounds. But those sounds didn't resemble ordinary bamboo. They sounded like someone softly singing a lullaby. At first, nobody paid much attention. Then one night, your uncle came home drunk after drinking with friends. It was already late. He was so intoxicated that he couldn't even remember the way home. Eventually, he stumbled into the bamboo grove and sat down beneath it. Before long, he fell asleep. While sleeping, he had a dream. In the dream, a beautiful young woman stepped out from between the bamboo stalks. Her skin was pale. Her hair was long and black. She was so beautiful that your uncle couldn't take his eyes off her. She smiled and asked, "Why are you sleeping out here at this hour? Why don't you go home?" Then she continued, "It's very late. Don't go home tonight. Come stay at my house. You can rest there and leave in the morning." Without questioning anything, your uncle followed her. The woman led him deeper into the darkness until they arrived at a small wooden house. Inside sat a young child. The child looked as if he had been waiting for his mother to return. As soon as they entered, the child asked, "Mom, where have you been? I've been waiting for so long." The woman smiled. "I brought a guest home tonight. He got lost on the road. Let's let him stay here until morning." She invited your uncle to sit down. Moments later, she and the child placed food on the table. The food looked delicious. The smell was incredible. Yet your uncle later said that none of the dishes tasted like any food he had ever eaten before. The flavors were strange, unfamiliar, but somehow they were unbelievably good. While he was eating, the woman smiled and said, "Keep eating. I'll go get some water for you." At that moment, your uncle suddenly needed to use the bathroom. He got up and walked toward the back of the house. As he approached the doorway, he froze. The beautiful woman was no longer beautiful. Standing outside was something else entirely. Her hair had become longer and darker. 2 horns protruded from her head. Sharp fangs filled her mouth. The creature looked nothing like the woman he had followed. Terrified, your uncle hid beside the doorway and listened. Then he heard the creature speaking to the child. "Tonight we finally have good prey. Your uncle slowly turned toward the child. His blood ran cold. The child had changed too. Small horns had appeared on his head. Sharp fangs protruded from his mouth. The child was no child at all. It was another demon. Your uncle stood completely still. Then suddenly, both of them stopped talking. Slowly, very slowly, they turned their heads toward him. The female demon grinned. "So, you saw us." Her smile widened. "Tell me, am I beautiful?" The moment she finished speaking, your uncle ran. He ran faster than he had ever run in his entire life. Behind him, he could hear movement, fast movement. The two demons were chasing him. He burst out of the house and sprinted through the darkness, screaming for help. Your uncle ran as fast as he could. Branches whipped against his face. Dry leaves cracked beneath his feet. Behind him, he could hear the female demon and her child laughing. Not walking, not running. They sounded as if they were gliding through the darkness. The sound kept getting closer, closer, closer. Your uncle thought he was going to die. Then suddenly, in the distance, he saw a familiar figure. It was his wife. She had been searching for him after realizing he never came home. The moment he saw her, he stumbled forward and nearly collapsed. "Help me," he screamed. "Help me! They're behind me." His wife grabbed him in confusion. "What are you talking about?" "The demons. The two demons are chasing me." She looked behind him. There was nothing there. No woman, no child, no house. Only darkness and bamboo. Your uncle didn't stop to look. He dragged his wife away and ran all the way home. Once he arrived, he told everyone what had happened. Nobody slept that night. The next morning, the story reached Mr. S., an older relative in the village. After hearing everything, Mr. S. immediately went to find a spirit master known for dealing with dangerous entities. The spirit master was around 48 years old. By afternoon, he arrived at the bamboo grove. Without saying much, he stood outside the grove and began performing rituals. Nobody understood what he was doing. Minutes passed. Then suddenly, a thick black smoke began pouring out from inside the bamboo. The smell was unbearable. The same smell your grandfather had described for years. Rotten, putrid, like something dead. The spirit master narrowed his eyes. "They're here." The mother and child had come out. Then he demanded, "Who are you? Why are you staying here and harming people?" At first, a woman's voice answered softly from within the smoke. Her tone sounded calm, almost gentle. She said she had fallen in love with a man. She became pregnant with his child. But when he learned about the pregnancy, he abandoned her and married another woman. Unable to bear the betrayal, she took her own life beside the bamboo grove. After death, she and her unborn child remained there. For a moment, everyone listening felt pity for her. Then her voice changed. Instantly, the gentle tone vanished. Her words became filled with hatred. "I hate men. I hate every worthless man in this world. I will kill them all." The atmosphere around the grove became heavy. The spirit master tried to persuade her. "You must move on. If you stay here, you'll never find peace." The female demon screamed, "I'm not going anywhere. Stop preaching to me. If you keep talking, I'll break your neck." Even the spirit master seemed shaken. After a long silence, he admitted something surprising. "I can't handle this spirit alone. Everyone stared at him. The female demon was far stronger than they had expected. The spirit master decided to call another powerful practitioner from Injong. Several days later, the second master arrived. Together, they prepared a large ritual. Offerings were arranged. Incense burned continuously. Sacred objects surrounded the grove. Then the battle began. For hours, the two masters fought against a female demon and her child. Prayers echoed through the air. The wind howled violently. The bamboo grove shook as if something inside it was struggling to escape. Then suddenly, the child spirit possessed one of your relatives. The possessed woman opened her eyes, but her voice was no longer her own. If you hurt my mother again, I'll kill this woman. Everyone froze. The child was using a human hostage. For a brief moment, the two masters stopped. Then the female demon made a demand. If you want us to leave, give us 5 boys and 5 girls. My child is hungry. The villagers felt their blood run cold. The demand was impossible. The battle resumed. This time, the masters used every ritual object they had, every prayer, every charm, every sacred tool. Finally, near the end of the confrontation, both masters pulled out special wooden talismans they had been hiding. The moment those talismans struck the spirits, a terrible scream echoed through the grove. The female demon and her child let out one final howl. Then everything became silent. For 12 minutes, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The spirit masters stood there breathing heavily. Finally, one of them shouted, "Cut down the bamboo grove." Right now, the villagers didn't hesitate. As soon as the spirit masters gave the order, everyone grabbed axes and machetes and rushed toward the bamboo grove. One by one, the bamboo stalks fell. The moment they hit the ground, something horrifying happened. Black liquid began pouring out from inside the hollow trunks. Not just a few drops, huge amounts. The foul-smelling substance flowed from nearly every stalk. The stench was overwhelming. People covered their noses and stepped back. The smell was exactly like a rotting corpse. Some villagers nearly vomited. The spirit masters ordered everyone to keep cutting. Soon, the entire grove lay scattered across the ground. Then, just as the last bamboo stalk fell, a woman's scream exploded through the air. The voice didn't seem to come from any specific direction. It echoed from everywhere at once. "You killed my child. You killed both of us. You will pay for this." The scream sent chills through everyone's body. Before anyone could react, the sky suddenly darkened. Moments earlier, the weather had been perfectly clear. Now, thick black clouds rolled overhead. The wind became violent. Dust and leaves swirled through the air. The atmosphere felt unnatural, as if something was furious. Then, crack! A bolt of lightning struck directly into the center of the destroyed bamboo grove. The explosion was deafening. Everyone screamed and ran. Another flash illuminated the area. For a brief second, some villagers swore they saw the silhouette of a woman standing among the burning bamboo. Then she vanished. The lightning continued striking the grove. Again, and again, and again, the entire area caught fire. Within minutes, everything was burning. The bamboo grove that had stood there for years was reduced to ashes. Nothing remained. Not a single stalk. Not a single leaf. Only blackened earth. When the storm finally subsided, The spirit masters inspected the site. To ensure the female demon and her child could never return, they buried powerful talismans beneath the ground. They also drove sacred nails deep into the roots that remained beneath the soil. The masters warned everyone, no matter what happens, do not remove these. If they are disturbed, the spirits may find their way back. From that day onward, peace returned. No one heard lullabies coming from the grove anymore. No one smelled the rotten odor. No one reported seeing a mysterious woman at night. And nobody was ever lured into that place again. The story of the female demon slowly became a legend passed down through the village. But many people still believe that if those talismans were ever removed, the mother and child would return. This next story happened 6 years ago in Tianjin. You live near a river. Around your home were several bamboo groves growing along the water's edge. One morning, everything seemed completely normal. You woke up, had breakfast with your mother, got dressed for school, then you left the house and began walking down the road. The sun was already up. It was around 7:30 in the morning. As you approached the bamboo grove near your home, you suddenly noticed someone standing ahead. Your heart skipped a beat. It was your mother. At least, it looked exactly like your mother. The problem was, you had just left her at home. Only minutes earlier, the two of you had been eating breakfast together. So, who was this woman? You opened your mouth to call out, "Mom." But the words never came out. It felt as though something invisible had covered your mouth. No sound emerged. You stopped walking. The woman continued moving. At first, you thought you were mistaken. Maybe it wasn't really your mother. Then you looked closer. The face was identical, but there were differences. 2 deep cuts ran across her face, as though someone had slashed her with razor blades. Her eyes were bright red, not bloodshot, not irritated, red, like glowing embers. She wore a white shirt. The top buttons were undone, and when she walked, she dragged one leg behind her, as though it were broken. You stood frozen. The woman never looked away from you. Her red eyes remained fixed on your face. Then she slowly disappeared among the bamboo. You couldn't stop thinking about what you saw. All throughout class, the image of that woman stayed in your mind. Those eyes, those cuts across her face, the way she dragged her leg, and most of all, the fact that she looked exactly like your mother. When school ended, you returned home and sat down for lunch. Your mother noticed you were unusually quiet. Finally, you asked her, "Mom, where did you go this morning?" Your mother looked confused. "What do you mean? I saw you near the bamboo grove. You were walking toward the river." Your mother's expression changed immediately. She set down her chopsticks. "I never left the house." You stared at her. "But I saw you." "No, I've been home all morning." You described everything. The face, the white shirt, the red eyes, the cuts. The moment you finished speaking, your mother became very pale. For several seconds, she didn't say anything. Then she quietly whispered, "So she wasn't destroyed after all." You felt a chill run through your body. "What do you mean?" Your mother looked toward the window, the female spirit, the one that was struck by lightning years ago. People thought she was gone, but maybe she survived. The conversation ended there. Your mother refused to say anything else. That afternoon, you suddenly developed a high fever. It happened without warning. Your body felt weak. Your head throbbed. You could barely stand. By evening, your father was still at work, so your mother left briefly to buy offerings and medicine. That meant you were alone, completely alone. The sun disappeared. Darkness filled the house. You lay in bed, shivering beneath a blanket. Then you heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming from outside. Tap, tap, tap. At first, you thought your mother had returned. Then the footsteps stopped, right outside your room. Silence. You slowly turned your head and nearly screamed. The woman was standing there. She had somehow entered the house. She stood only a few meters away, watching you, not blinking, not moving, just staring. Her red eyes burned through the darkness. The cuts across her face looked deeper than before. Her smile stretched wider, far wider than any human smile should. You instantly pulled the blanket over your head. Your entire body trembled. You didn't dare look again. You remained hidden beneath the blanket until you finally heard your mother's voice returning home. Only then did you crawl out. The moment your mother entered the room, you burst into tears and told her everything. This time she didn't hesitate. She grabbed your hand and immediately took you to a spirit medium known throughout the area. The old woman listened carefully. Then she looked directly at you. Her expression became serious. That spirit wants a boy. She's trying to take him with her. Your mother turned pale. The medium quickly prepared an altar. She began chanting prayers. Then she took a brush and started drawing symbols across your back. The pain was unbearable. It felt as if hot knives were carving into your skin. You clenched your teeth. The medium continued drawing while shouting into the empty air. Leave him. He is not yours. Find somewhere else to go. If you refuse, I'll destroy you. The room suddenly felt cold. The candles flickered violently. For a moment, you thought you heard a woman screaming somewhere nearby. Then everything stopped. The pain disappeared. The pressure around your body vanished. You suddenly felt lighter, as though a heavy weight had been lifted from your shoulders. The medium nodded. She's gone for now. She handed you a protective cord. Wear this around your neck. Do not take it off. Then she gave you another warning. Do not sleep under your bed. And don't wander near that bamboo grove again. From that day forward, you never saw the red-eyed woman again. The fever disappeared. The nightmare stopped. And little by little, life returned to normal. But even now, whenever you pass a bamboo grove at dawn, you still remember those burning red eyes watching you from the shadows. This next story is about room number 7. It's been a long time since you've heard a terrifying boarding house story. This one happened inside a large rental building located near the highway entrance leading toward the Mekong Delta. The building was huge, nearly 70 rooms, 3 floors, a shared rooftop. You lived on the 3rd floor, room 15. After the social restrictions ended, many tenants moved away. The 1st floor still had several residents. The 2nd floor was completely empty, and on the 3rd floor, only 3 rooms remained occupied. Across from your room was room 7, a room everyone talked about, a room nobody could stay in for long. Nobody knew exactly what was wrong with room 7. People only knew one thing. Anyone who rented it eventually left. Some stayed for 2 months. Others lasted only a few days. No matter who moved in, they always ended up leaving. And none of them wanted to explain why. One of the last families to rent the room was a young couple with a 5-month-old baby. At first, everything seemed normal. Then strange things started happening almost immediately. Every time they carried the baby into room 7, the child would burst into tears. Not ordinary crying, screaming, as though something inside the room terrified him. The moment they took him outside, he calmed down. He laughed. He smiled. He acted completely normal. But as soon as they brought him back through the doorway, the crying started again. The baby refused to stay alone. He constantly clung to his parents. He wouldn't sit by himself. He wouldn't sleep peacefully. He seemed frightened all the time. Then the nightmares began. Both parents claimed they repeatedly saw a tall man inside the room. A very tall man, broad shoulders, dark figure, no face. Sometimes he stood beside the bed. Sometimes he wandered around the room, searching through their belongings. Other times he simply stood in a corner and watched them sleep. The sightings became more frequent. Eventually the family packed their things and moved out. After that, nobody rented room 7 again. The door remained locked, month after month, year after year. Then one Saturday night, something happened that terrified you more than anything you'd ever experienced. It was around 8 o'clock. You were lying on your loft bed, scrolling through your phone. Beside you sat your black cat. Normally the cat was calm, quiet, well-behaved. It never made noise at night, but that evening was different. The cat suddenly stared toward the door. Then it began meowing. Again, and again, and again. Its eyes never left the entrance. You looked toward the door. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then you noticed a shadow moving outside, back and forth, back and forth. Your room had a metal door and an additional security screen, making it easy to see movement outside. The shadow kept pacing, slowly, aimlessly. You assumed it was another tenant, maybe someone walking through the hallway, so you ignored it, but the shadow didn't leave. It continued moving outside your room for several minutes. Then curiosity got the better of you. You leaned forward and looked toward the gap beneath the door. The moment you did, your entire body froze. There was a foot outside, a human foot, just standing there, motionless. The toes were enormous. The skin was black, not naturally dark, burned black, like charred flesh. The foot looked as though it belonged to a corpse pulled from a fire. You immediately backed away. Your heart hammered inside your chest. The foot remained there, perfectly still, watching, waiting. You pressed yourself against the wall and grabbed your phone. Your hands shook so badly you could barely type. You quickly messaged your boyfriend. "Something is outside my room. Please come home. Please hurry." The black cat continued staring at the door. Its fur stood on end. Then something even worse happened. The cat jumped from the bed and slowly approached the entrance, still meowing, still staring. You want to call it back, but fear kept you silent. The cat reached the doorway, and suddenly, a hand shot through the gap beneath the door. A massive black hand. The skin looked burned. The fingers were unnaturally long. It lunged toward the cat's leg. The cat shrieked and leaped backward just in time. The hand missed by inches. You nearly screamed. Your entire body went numb. You couldn't believe what you had just seen. Something was outside, and it was trying to reach inside. Then you heard knocking. Bang, bang, bang. You almost cried. At first, you thought the thing outside was trying to trick you, Many ghost stories warned against answering voices at night. What if it was pretending to be someone you knew? Then a familiar voice called out. It was your boyfriend. He had rushed home after reading your messages. Still, you were too terrified to open the door. You stayed frozen where you were. The knocking continued. Finally, your boyfriend became worried and used his key to unlock the door himself. The moment he entered, you ran to him, crying, shaking uncontrollably. Neither of you stayed another second. You grabbed your cat and ran downstairs. As you told everyone what happened, several tenants exchanged uneasy looks. None of them seemed surprised, almost as if they already knew. Then someone suggested checking the security cameras. If a man had really been standing outside your room, the cameras would have recorded him. So they reviewed the footage, minute by minute, hour by hour. But there was nobody there. No man, no shadow, no burned foot, nothing. The hallway had been completely empty. The camera footage showed absolutely nothing. No person, no movement, no shadow wandering the hallway. The area outside your room had been empty the entire night. That should have made you feel relieved. Instead, it terrified you even more, because if nobody was there, then what had you seen? And what had tried to grab your cat? The owner of the boarding house sighed after watching the footage. She wasn't surprised. In fact, she seemed to have expected it. Finally, she looked at you and said, "Buy some offerings tomorrow. Make an offering for him." The way she said it made everyone uncomfortable. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then she quietly explained. Years ago, a man had supposedly died somewhere near that property. Some residents believed his spirit still wandered around the building, especially the upper floors. Most of the time, he didn't bother anyone. But if people forgot to burn incense or leave offerings for the wandering spirits, strange things sometimes happened. The next morning, your boyfriend told you something he hadn't mentioned the night before. At around 3 a.m, while sleeping, he had a dream. In the dream, a tall man appeared beside his bed. The man looked rough and exhausted. His clothes were dirty. His face was pale. He stared directly at your boyfriend and said, "Can you give me a cigarette?" Then the man disappeared. Your boyfriend woke up immediately. The clock read exactly 3 a.m. Neither of you laughed about the dream. Not after everything that had happened. That morning, you bought offerings, incense, paper money, and a pack of cigarettes. You burned everything downstairs. As the smoke drifted into the air, you quietly apologized. Only then did you remember something. For several weeks, you had been extremely busy. You had forgotten to light incense inside your room. You had forgotten to leave offerings for the unseen spirits believed to wander around the area. Maybe it was coincidence. Maybe it wasn't. But after that day, the strange events stopped. The black cat returned to normal. No more shadows appeared outside your door. No more burned feet. No more black hands reaching through the cracks. And whatever had been wandering outside room 15 never returned. This final story is shorter, but many people consider it the most disturbing. You grew up in a Catholic family. One day, your parish priest organized a visit to pray for someone who had recently passed away. Around 20 people attended, including your mother. The cemetery was large. Rows upon rows of graves stretched across the property. That afternoon, everyone gathered to pray. The sun was beginning to set. It was around 5 o'clock. While reciting prayers, You suddenly notice a boy standing in the distance. He appeared to be about 12 or 13 years old. The boy wasn't doing anything unusual. He simply stood among the graves, watching you, staring without blinking. Then he raised his hand, slowly, and motioned for you to come closer. You ignored him. The cemetery wasn't a place for games. You assumed he was some local child trying to get attention, so you continued praying. But every time you looked up, he was still there, watching, waiting, motioning for you to come. Eventually, you told your mother about him. She frowned. There aren't supposed to be any children over there. I didn't see anyone. You pointed toward the spot, but by then the boy was gone. Your mother dismissed it. You tried to do the same. The next day, everyone returned to continue praying, around the same time, around the same place. And once again, the boy appeared, standing among the graves, waiting, motioning for you to come closer. This time you became annoyed. You thought he was deliberately bothering you. So instead of ignoring him, you glared back. For several seconds, you stared directly into his eyes. Then something happened. The boy smiled and suddenly jumped, not onto the ground, onto a grave, then another grave, then another. His movements were impossible. He leaped incredibly high, far higher than any human child could. One grave, another, moving closer and closer. Then you saw it, his eyes. They weren't normal. They looked empty, dark, wrong. A second later, he launched himself toward you, and everything went black. You collapsed. The next thing you remembered was waking up in a hospital bed. An oxygen mask covered your face. Machines beat beside you. Your mother was sitting nearby. When she saw you open your eyes, she burst into tears. Later, she told you what happened. While everyone was praying, you suddenly stopped moving. You stared toward a distant grave. Then you collapsed. Your breathing became weak. So weak that people thought you might die. An ambulance rushed you to the hospital. You remained there for 12 days. 12 days before finally recovering. After you returned home, your family and several members of the parish decided to investigate. They returned to the cemetery. They prayed, left offerings, and asked whatever spirit was there not to disturb you anymore. Only then did they learn the truth. The grave you had been staring at belonged to twins, a brother and a sister. Both had passed away. According to some relatives, the spirit of the older sister had followed you home after the incident. Soon afterward, that spirit allegedly possessed one of your aunts. While possessed, she spoke in a strange voice and gave a warning. If he wears a 7-colored thread, my younger brother won't bother him anymore. The message frightened everyone. Nobody knew whether it was real. Nobody wanted to take chances. Instead, your family sought help from the local church. The priest listened carefully. Then he gave you a bottle of holy water. After blessing it, he instructed your family to use it regularly and continue praying. He also gave you one final warning. Try not to wander through cemeteries unless necessary. Some places are not meant for the living. After that, the disturbances finally stopped. You never saw the boy again, never saw the graves again, and never experienced anything like it again. But even now, whenever you think about that cemetery, you still remember the boy standing among the tombstones, smiling, waving, patiently waiting for you to come closer.